4 out of 5 games. And the former Brewer, Scott Podsednik, leads off. The Brewers will head to Cleveland tonight, start a 3-game series with the Indians tomorrow, and then it's off to Detroit before returning home next Tuesday. Meanwhile, Chicago is ready for their rival in interleague play. The Chicago Cubs coming up next for the White Sox. Casey McGee handles Podsednik. 2 pitches and 1 out for Braden Looper. White Sox come in 29-34 on the season. 5 games under 500. This is their 64th game of the year. As Ramirez on the first pitch, as easy as it can be. 2 up, 2 down for Braden Looper on just 3 pitches.
Yeah, that's what we saw from Looper in his last start against the Rockies. Very good command of his fastball, able to get that one in on the fist of Ramirez. And an easy out to first base. Did not walk a batter in his last start. Struck out 7. A very good start for him.
Here's A.J. Pierzynski for the White Sox, batting third for the first time this season. He has hit up and down that lineup. He's at second, third, fourth. He's even hit down the bottom of the order, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Only spots he has not occupied this year, 1st, 8th, and 9th. Pierzynski's been hitting cleanup in this series. He had cleanup in the opener. And in the 3-hole today, Rock, in the absence of 3 major sluggers for the White Sox, Jim Thome basically relegated to pinch hitting duties. Carlos Quentin might be out until after the All-Star break with an injury, and Paul Konerko in the lineup today, but Jermaine Dye gets the day off. And Pierzynski singles to center field.
And on an 0-2 pitch, that's what Pierzynski does very well. In a lineup of a bunch of free swingers, Pierzynski, pretty good contact hitter, as you mentioned. And again, he hits left-handed pitching pretty well. That's why you see him up and down that lineup against lefties. He's going to be down the lineup a little bit more.
Now, we saw this White Sox club quite a bit in spring training this year in the Cactus League, and boy, you look at those 4 sluggers in their lineup when they had Quentin and Thome and Dye and Konerko, and you're thinking, wow, this team is going to score some runs. But injuries have been an issue. Paul Konerko just getting back into the lineup yesterday. He's been nursing a sore right thumb. Took a cortisone shot on Thursday and back in there after 2 days off. Carlos Quentin is a big concern for Ozzie Guillen and the White Sox. He's got a left foot injury. Was eligible to come off last Wednesday, but they're calling maybe All-Star game before he returns.
Yeah, the White Sox, you would never figure in spring training that they'd be one of the lowest scoring teams in the American League. They're 12th in runs scored with all those big sluggers in their lineup. And they have been faring much better on the road than they have at home. They got the lowest home batting average in the American League, 209. Go figure.
Ozzie's club starts the day 5.5 back of the Tigers in the American League Central. Chicago is 13-16 on the road this year. They had their longest homestand of the season prior to this series against the Brewers. 12 games in all. That included a day-night doubleheader. And the White Sox were 4-8 and won their final game on Thursday in their final at-bat against the Tigers. Looper strikes out Konerko. And the side retired. Looper, a nice start today. Scoreless inning with a punch-out. We head to the bottom of the first. Brewers coming to bat. For Milwaukee, Braden Looper with a scoreless first inning with a strikeout. And here is Ken Macha's lineup today, courtesy of Subway. It's Casey McGee, J.J. Hardy, and Ryan Braun at the top. Fielder, Cameron, and Hart in the middle, with Hall, Kendall, and Looper rounding it out. And that lineup will face Mark Burley, who's making a bid for his 7th win of the year. Burley is 6-2 this year, a 3.24 earned run average. And McGee starts it with a bang down the line. This will go for extras. Casey McGee on his way to second. And a leadoff double for McGee.
Well, making it very difficult for Ken Macha to keep him out of the lineup on a daily basis. Just continues to swing the bat. Fastball trying to get ahead early. Mark Burley, and rips it down the line. I'll tell you, I like to watch that kid go about his business. The longer you see him in there, the more you like him.
He's always put numbers together in the minor leagues, getting a chance here in the big leagues. He now has a 6-game hitting streak, hitting .500 during that streak. And on one pitch, the Brewers have a man in scoring position. And Hardy trying to send him over to third base. McGee on this homestand is now 7 for 13. Drove in the only run yesterday in a 7-1 White Sox win. Now we'll see if Hardy can advance McGee, possibly drive him in. Love to see JJ get back on track. Bouncer over to short. And unable to advance McGee. First out in this first inning.
Let's check out the Piggly Wiggly scouting report on left-hander Mark Burley. Works very quickly. Averages about 2.5 hours for his start. So he gets it and throws strikes. Got a good cut fastball. Uses that a lot against right-handed hitters to go along with a good changeup and look out on the bases. He has a tremendous pickoff move to first base.
Burley likes to work quickly. He has pitched some of the fastest games in recent history in the major leagues. The average game time when he starts is just over 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is saying something in this day and age.
Yes, indeed. Particularly because, you know, he's only half the equation. Maybe he gets the other guy to pitch fast, too.
He dials everybody up.
Throwing
right?
strikes, yeah.
Well, Davey Nelson mentioned it in our Brewers Live pregame. It's all about tempo, and he does create some tempo. A liner to center field. Anderson makes a catch. Boy, the Brewers, a bad break. That was hit right on the barrel, but right at Brian Anderson, and it's out number 2.
Well,
Good
really
base running there by McGee.
You betcha. Boy, that ball looked like it was a base hit. Of course, Casey McGee knows everything he needs to know about a ball hit like that. He hit one like that a couple of nights ago. Good backspin. And you can see the way Brian Braun's able to cover the outer half. You got to get to this guy early. If you're going to get him, you got to get him early, because the longer he's out there, the better he gets.
So 2 outs now. McGee still at second base. Now that's a spot where not advancing the runner during J.J. Hardy's at bat really cost you. That could have led to a run for the Brewers.
Yeah, that's why he tried that push bunt on the first strike. Not confident in getting the ball to the right side.
Ball and a strike on Fielder, who comes in with 15 homers, 55 runs batted in. Major league leaders in runs batted in. Jason Bay having a great year in Boston. And Fielder is currently 5th. Fielder's 3rd in the National League behind Ibanez and Pujols.
Well, the Brewers not scoring a whole lot of runs. That certainly affects Prince Fielder. When there's nobody on in front of him, tough for him to drive in runs. He was on a torrid pace before this homestand.
Now Fielder during the series in Atlanta reached base 7 times. Had 2 home runs in that series as well. Cooled somewhat on this homestand, but Still big numbers for Prince Fielder. Lays off a good breaking ball from Burley. Fielder has just 1 RBI on this homestand, 4 hits and 19 at-bats. He's coming off of a 30-game stretch where he drove in 30 runs. Got a runner at second, and that one's off the end of the bat, and that's a base hit. Casey McGee will score. Prince Fielder cues one into center field, and the Brewers are on the board.
No, they deserve that one after that line drive that Prince hit. That was caught in center field. Changeup. Not Burley, not afraid to throw off-speed pitches to left-handers, and a cue shot just out of the reach of Chris Getz. He dove for it to try and keep it in the infield to keep Casey McGee at third base. There's a good start.
So Fielder collects RBI number 56, and it's Mike Cameron. That ball had an unusual shape to it. It was a slice. Normally when a left-handed hitter pulls the baseball, it's got a little bit of a hook, or it's straight usually. This time Fielder off the end of the bat had a slice, and Chris Getz completely fooled by the bounce.
Yeah, took a left-hand turn when it hit the ground. There's that cut fastball that Mark Burley is so effective. You know, he tries to get you out of the way most of the time. He will jam you with that cut fastball just to keep you honest. But he likes to use that changeup and the fastball away. It's got a tail to it, not much of a sink.
Fear the Brew Manchu. I saw those guys. Where do we see them on the road?
You signed it. That away,
partner. Oh, yeah, I did. Wow. I remember those guys. I said, hey, I like your Fu Manchu. Next thing you know, they were at the ballpark with the Brew Manchu.
And fear it. Fear the Brew Manchu.
You have to fear the Brew Manchu.
You know what? You look good in that. I think that's something you might want to incorporate.
That might take all summer to grow a Fu Manchu like that. 2-2. Cameron pulls one foul, able to get his hands through one of those cut fastballs.
Yeah, 3 in a row by Mark Burley. You just know at some point he's going to try and sink that ball off the corner. Such good command with everything he throws.
Again with a 2-2, and there is that sinker, and it just missed. I don't know if Cameron thought it was ball 4 or if he thought he was going to be rung up.
Yeah, that was a ball 4 walk towards first base. Just barely off the outside corner. Not by much.
On the ground to Beckham. And they get the out at second. Not an easy out. Fielder dug up some dirt as he went in there, but he drives in the run. The Brewers lead.
starts, he showed impeccable command. He's only given up 16 hits, striking out 14, but more importantly, only 4 bases on balls. And Braden Looper has only gotten 1 win and 2 no decisions out of those last 3 starts, but he's been showing that he's been a rock solid element to that rotation, guys.
I tell you, indeed he has. And Looper, a guy who takes the ball every 5th day. Most importantly, as Dwayne Wise pops up, easy out for Looper. Looper certainly has that bulldog quality to him. He's very soft-spoken, and he's kind of a nose to the grindstone kind of guy, which is what you like from a starting pitcher.
No, and he's stubborn. I mean, he might not have the best stuff in the world from start to start, but he's going to pound the strike zone and try and get you out. He's not going to beat himself. He's only walked 21 batters in 68 innings of work. So when you have Looper and Burley on the mound, hitters know they better go up there swinging the bat.
Yeah, a lot of strikes to be had. 1 gone for Brian Anderson. Been busy out in center field during this series. .234 hitter coming in as Anderson, with a couple of home runs and 8 driven in. You get to the bottom of this Chicago order and you're looking at a number of first-round draft picks going back 5 years or so, and not exactly what Ozzie Guillen had in mind as he's trying to win a pennant for the 2nd straight season, or trying to win a division title for the 2nd straight season in Chicago.
But you got to figure Ozzie Guillen's thinking in that dugout. You know, as many problems as they have had, and a lot of young players early in the season, they're still in striking distance in the division.
Anderson to center field. Cameron makes a play. 2 gone, 2 up, 2 down for Looper. Today's U.S. Cellular poll question: which Brewers home uniform do you prefer? W for the home whites, X for the retro stripes, or Y for the home blues? WXY. 234-234 is the number you can text, courtesy of U.S. Cellular. 2 gone for Chris Getz. Getz, one of the top picks from the 05 draft. He was a 4th rounder. And he lines that one sharply into center field, a base hit. So for the 2nd straight inning, the White Sox get 2 out hits.
Well, Looper going to establish that fastball. Got a little too much of the plate with that one, and Getz banged it right back through the middle. Pretty good approach. Didn't try and pull it.
And Looper will face Chicago's 1st rounder from the 07 draft, Gordon Beckham, who drove in his first 2 major league RBIs yesterday. Beckham is now 3 for 31 at the plate. There's always that balance between rushing a player to the big leagues and shattering confidence, and getting him to the major leagues to see what he can do. And I know the White Sox are right in the middle of that decision right now as Beckham gets the playing time at 3rd base for the time being.
Yeah, that's a rough start, 3 for 31. And you're right. I mean, you get a guy to the major leagues too quick. When he's not ready, you might get that feeling as though he doesn't belong, and it's going to take him a while to get back to that confidence level. As again, right now, has made the commitment the organization has to at least keep him out there for a while. Josh Fields off to a slow start. They figure they need some offense over there. Beckham so far hasn't given it to him.
I believe I said Beckham from the 07 draft. He was actually the 8th overall pick last year. The 08 draft. Had a great spring for the White Sox. We saw him swing the bat exceptionally well in the Cactus League. And between AA and AAA this year, a .326 hitter. Runner takes off. Beckham fouls it away.
That kind of a loopy swing. He's got the barrel of the bat kind of behind his head, which makes getting the sweet spot of the bat to the baseball a little bit longer of an approach. Not a whole lot of room for error in that swing. You can see behind the Looper fastball that time. He wraps that bat.
Runner takes off again. lazy fly ball to Hart. And Looper has another scoreless inning. We head to the home second. Corey Hart leads off when we come back. And by Ho-Chunk Gaming, Wisconsin. Fans enjoying their time here at Miller Park. A sellout crowd this afternoon. The final game of this homestand. Final game of the Brewers and the White Sox 3-game series. Corey Hart leads off against Mark Buehrle. Brewers scoring in the first inning. Prince Fielder a 2-out RBI single. Also came with 2 strikes. Buehrle likes to work quickly, and Brewers hitters are aware of that, and you might see him step out on occasion. Corey Hart walks on 4 straight. Unusual for Mark Buehrle to walk a batter, especially on 4 consecutive pitches.
Interesting looking at his numbers. 19 walks in 80 2/3 innings before today. 7 of those 19 walks have come in his last 2 starts. So experiencing some control problems lately.
You want to know what kind of an inexact science it is to scout players, as we've just completed the draft. Mark Buehrle was a 38th round draft pick. He was actually cut from his high school baseball team, believe it or not. Not college, high school.
Well, it's because he doesn't throw hard. He's not one of those guys that throws in the mid-90s with that electric slider. He just knows how to pitch. And how do you scout that?
He's thrown a no-hitter in the big leagues 2 seasons ago against the Texas Rangers. It was early in the season of the 07 year in April. Facing Billy Hall with a man on to start this inning.
And Mark Buehrle has had 5 starts this year where he has not walked a batter, and he went 3 consecutive starts without a walk. So walking a guy on 4 pitches, very unusual.
Well, Billy Hall getting the start once again with a left-handed starting pitcher on the mound. That has been Maka's routine here the last few weeks. Hall started the game on Friday. Close play over there as Hart just back.
I certainly hope that Corey saw the Piggly Wiggly scouting report.
Sure he did.
He's got a tremendous move, does Mark Buehrle. You got to beware, even if you're not trying to steal. That's a dandy.
Oof. Looked like they might have had him. Hart is a base stealer, but in this particular brand of baseball for Ken Maka, the Brewers do not run much. This might be a good chance to take off here. Buehrle gets a lot of ground balls when he's right.
And Pierzynski, an average throwing catcher, but with Mark Buehrle out on the mound and that move to first, very tough to run. It's even tough to get a good jump. On a ground ball. I mean, it really helps Buehrle to get those force outs and those double plays.
Hart stays put. Hall strikes out.
Seems like everybody's first move with Buehrle on the mound is at least back to first base. Really can't get very aggressive. Fastball right down the middle. Billy swings right through it.
And what makes the cut fastball such a great pitch for him against right-handed batters is the element of the sinker you're talking about that breaks tails away from a right-handed hitter. That's a one pitch Mark DeFelice has been working on, something that tails away from a lefty to make his cut fastball even more effective. Buehrle has mastered that.
And you can't pick that up. You can't pick up the distinction between the two out of his hand. You really can't. It's only until it gets about halfway to home plate where it either goes away from you or cuts in on you.
In there. Cut fastball for a strike. It's 0-2. Buehrle won 15 games last year. White Sox won the Central Division, had a one-game playoff with the Twins to determine the winner of that division a season ago. They were ousted by Tampa Bay in the opening round. Buehrle led the American League in games started last year, 34. He is an innings machine, Mark Buehrle.
8 straight years of 200 or more innings.
Strikes out Kendall. And 2 gone on back-to-back strikeouts with the pitcher Looper coming up.
Gets ahead. That pitch out of the strike zone, and a guy that very rarely strikes out swings at a pitch out of the zone.
So 2 outs, still a runner at first, and it's Looper. Looper has 1 hit this year, has driven in a couple of runs. He's not a liability at the plate. Certainly he is a good athlete. Back is Wise. He makes a call in the catch, and that's the inning. 1-0 Brewers. We head to the third. The White Sox coming up. Mark Buehrle leads off.
Among Us, All-Stars Among Us. And tell us, how did you get nominated for that?
My brother, Jim Power, graciously nominated me. I didn't even know that he did, for my work in organ donation. So it's very humbling, but very special.
Well, you had a chance to throw out the first pitch today. That had to be a lot of fun for you.
It was a lot of fun. I didn't do that well, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, here's a reason to be nervous. There are a lot of people watching you. Did nerves play a factor?
No. I just am not a ball player, but a big Brewer fan, so.
Well, I mean, you're one of 3 finalists for the Brewers, but one of 90 across the league. And if you're nominated, you get a chance to go to the All-Star game. Is that something that you hope you get an opportunity to do?
Oh, absolutely. That would be just an awesome opportunity. And the fact that my brother nominated me was very, very special. That would just take it to a new level. And to get organ donor awareness out there would be, additionally special.
Well, we wish you all the best, and hopefully you'll get a chance to go to St. Louis and root on some of these Brewers in that All-Star game.
That would be great. Thanks.
All right, that's Mary Nachbarinder, part of our Crew in the Community, guys, where people, All-Stars Among Us, are honoring a lot of people doing extraordinary work in their communities, guys.
All right, and you can vote at peopleallstars.com. And a great cause. Good for her. Good for her brother to recognize her work. Buehrle leads off, the White Sox pitcher, batting for the first time this year. White Sox had just one round of interleague play against the Pirates. Those games were in Chicago, so pitchers did not hit in that series. Typically, American League teams will start the week before games in a National League ballpark as far as batting practice and hitting drills go. So these pitchers for the White Sox have been swinging the bat a little bit in preparation for this run in National League parks. The White Sox finish here in Milwaukee today. They'll have the Cubs next, and then the Cincinnati Reds in their ballpark in Cincinnati.
The American League pitchers, they don't mind getting in there and swinging the bats. I mean, good old-fashioned baseball, and a little bit of a difference from the norm.
That one's well hit, deep right field. This one's got a chance, and it's gone. Mark Buehrle has just hit one out, his first career Major League home run.
That's just been happening a little bit too much. The opposing pitcher really doing damage against the Brewers. Josh Johnson with a home run in Florida. And that fastball right down the middle, up in the zone, and Buehrle able to drive it out of here to right. My goodness. Who would have thunk it?
Buehrle, who had only one career RBI, which was way back in 2001. Delivers with his first career Major League home run. Hits it into the White Sox bullpen, so that'll be a trophy he'll have for the rest of his life. All tied at 1. Raise your hand if you saw that coming.
Well, Luke got behind him 3-1, and instead of walking him, he's figuring, well, this guy hasn't swung the bat all year. I'm going to throw him a strike, make sure I don't walk him, and Buehrle knocked it out of here. I tell you, anybody with a bat in their hands up at the plate can be dangerous. Doesn't matter who it is. And we've seen too much of pitchers getting base hits and driving in big runs this year.
Now Looper falling behind Pasetnik. Crowd still buzzing about that. 3-2. Clayton Richard, the White Sox starting pitcher on Friday, had a double in his second at-bat. So the Sox hurlers handling their own at the plate, and it's been a nemesis for Ken Maka, the Brewers manager. He has seen way too many opposing pitchers come up with hits this year. Full count to Pasetnik after Buehrle's home run. Little bouncer to JJ. One away.
Hey, fans, for just $36, get a Lowe's infield ticket to one of 8 Brewers games and a $25 Potawatomi Bingo Casino restaurant gift card. You have to be 21 or older to dine in those restaurants. For details, call 414-902-4000 or go to brewers.com/Potawatomi.
One gone for Alexei Ramirez. Ramirez made the switch this season from second to short. Orlando Cabrera traded away or left the White Sox, and they felt Ramirez the shortstop of the future. Had a great season last season, almost won the Rookie of the Year last year. One and two the count. Ramirez has actually been swinging the bat pretty well lately. Batting over .313 with 4 runs batted in his last 8 games. Had a couple of hits here on Friday night.
He's as fast as anybody in baseball that we've seen. Unfortunately, hasn't been able to get on base much. Doesn't walk much, swings and misses a little bit too much, but I guess White Sox are hoping that with age and maturity that'll change. He can't steal first base.
Over to Hall. And 2 outs. So back-to-back ground ball outs after the home run by Burley. Just a reminder, today's game on Fox Sports Wisconsin is being broadcast in high definition. For a complete listing of FS Wisconsin HD cable providers, go to foxsports.com, keyword Wisconsin. First time the White Sox have been to Miller Park since 2001. First year of Miller Park. White Sox swept the Brewers back then. Jerry Manuel and Davey Lopes, the respective managers. Those 2 teams back in 01. Pierzynski singled his last time up. And is ahead in the count 3-0. Another 3-ball count in this inning for Looper. 3 out of 4 batters have gotten to 3-ball counts. Base hit. Pierzynski 2 for 2. Couple of singles, and that gives Konerko a man on and a chance to swing the bat here in the 3rd.
Yeah, Looper throws a 3-1 split-fingered fastball, and Pierzynski able to wade back and knock it into right field. Pretty good piece of hitting. Not many guys are going to offer at that pitch. Up in the count 3-1.
Paul Konerko struck out looking his last time up. Been nursing a right thumb injury, something that has bothered him the last few seasons. He's got a stretched ligament in his right thumb. And he said while surgery is always a possibility, he's been able to kind of play through the pain the last few years and is attempting to do so this year.
Anytime you can avoid that knife, you should. If it doesn't bother you too much, maybe miss a day here, a day there. I mean, you can stomach that, but even in the off season, they put you under the knife, and you just never know what the results of that would be. That's the last resort.
Konerko with 8 home runs this year, 41 runs batted in. He makes up part of a mighty trio on the south side. Jim Thome, Paul Konerko, Jermaine Dye. Look at the numbers that those 3 have amassed in their career. And you throw Carlos Quentin in that mix, and you can see why the White Sox were so anxious to get the season started after a division title last year.
And have had a miserable time scoring runs. It's hard to believe.
Konerko pops it up. Braun will make the catch. The inning is over. Mark Burley, his first career home run. And we're all tied at 1. The order coming up for the Brewers: Casey McGehee, J.J. Hardy, and Ryan Braun. McGehee scored in the first inning after a leadoff double against Burley. Prince Fielder drove him in with 2 outs. Burley hits the home run that ties it. The 5th home run allowed by Brewers pitching this year to an opponent pitcher at the plate.
Yep, Russ Ortiz, Adam Wainwright, Josh Johnson, and now Mark Burley.
Burley, 30 years of age now, turned 30 this March. Got McGehee down 0-2. Casey manages to foul it away, loses the bat in the process. That happens to McGehee every now and then. He's helicoptered a few bats into the seats this year.
Anytime that happens, pretty good bet it's an off-speed pitch. Guy lets go with the top hand out in front, fooled.
It's not a pine tar issue. It's not a stickum issue. As McGehee calls it, you know, you want to have loose hands at the plate. You want to be soft and loose as you right before you make impact. And then that's when you bear down. Of course, those who hold it off the end like that tend to lose the bat a little more often.
And when you look over that top hand, there's not much left, maybe 2 or 3 fingers.
McGehee now with a 6-game hitting streak after his double in the first. He hit the first pitch Burley threw today down the left field line, and then scored on Fielder's 2-out hit. 2-2. That one's hit well. This one's got a chance, and it's gone. Casey McGehee, his first career Major League home run, and it puts the Brewers on top.
Good time for his first. Cut fastball that just didn't get in there far enough, and Casey able to open up and knock it out of here. He's having a tough time staying back on that changeup. Burley throws the cutter, and second deck out and left. Another nice at bat by Casey McGehee.
Now, he is a power hitter. He showed plenty of pop in his bat this spring, but the long wait for his first career home run comes against Mark Burley after Burley with his first career homer. That's a foul ball. Foul ball, dead ball for J.J. Hardy. That's got to be a great feeling for McGee. He has certainly made the most of his opportunities. 2 hits today, a double, and now a home run.
Well, after a couple of change-ups, as we talked about, Burley tried to put that cutter in on his hands. It didn't fool Casey at all. Almost as if he knew it was coming. That's ordinarily a pretty good pitch. I mean, that's how you set up that cutter to a fastball hitter. A couple of off-speed pitches, then you try and bust in on his hands. Didn't work.
McGee with that short stroke. Ken Maka talking about Casey McGee's approach at the plate. He has a very good eye up there, and just a short, compact stroke that allows him to stay on the baseball a little bit longer and allows him to hit with some power even with 2 strikes. He hit the ball out to all fields this spring. Hardy into center field. That one's well hit. Back goes Anderson at the track, and he runs it down. And J.J. Hardy cannot buy a break.
No, he can't. And you hate to continue to belabor the point, but you know, he's hitting 210. This is the hardest 210 I've seen in a while. A bullet into center field. Unfortunately, hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark. And Brian Anderson able to run it down at the warning track. Nice swing. Again, J.J. hitting the ball to all fields, not pulling everything. That pitch down in the strike zone, went down and got it and hit it hard to center field. It's one thing to try and work with a guy who's got problems either behind everything or trying to pull everything, but J.J.'s been spraying the ball all around the field. Not a whole lot you can say to the guy.
Hardy has had 2 severe slumps this year, one to start the season and one that is going on right now. He is 0 for his last 26. Now, don't forget, J.J. Hardy was the Brewers' best hitter down the stretch last year and in the postseason.
And it's not a case of swinging and missing and striking out in bunches and a lot of ground balls or a lot of fly balls. It's just sometimes you go into these stretches, but it's a bit prolonged for J.J.
Ryan Braun shoots the gap. That's going to go to the wall. Extra bases for Braun. A 1-out double as Ryan has hit the ball hard in both of his at-bats against Burley. And the Brewers put a man in scoring position with 1 away here in the 3rd for Prince Fielder.
All you can do is try and square up the baseball, hit it hard somewhere. You can't really determine where it's going to go. That one right down the middle of the plate. So back-to-back at-bats. Ryan 1 for 2. Hit it right at Anderson, his first at-bat. No, J.J.'s ball hit every bit as hard as that last one, but unfortunately came up empty.
Now Fielder with a chance at another run batted in. Prince drove in his 56th run of the year. The Powerball home run leaderboard has Fielder at the top of the club with 15, Braun with 13, and Cameron with 12. Pretty good middle of the order for the Brewers. 70 home runs the Brewers have hit so far this year. Still looking for their first home run in this series. Braun hit the last home run. That was in the final game against the Rockies against Houston Street. And the Rockies keep on winning, don't they? 10 in a row now for Colorado.
Man. Well, you know they have it in them. They did it a couple of years ago. Prolonged winning streaks.
Colorado now just 2 games under 500 as Fielder goes down on strikes. 2nd out of the inning. 3rd strikeout for Mark Burley.
And another cut fastball away from Prince.
Miller Park in all its glory today. Just a golden afternoon for the grand old game today. Perfect weather.
Back-to-back days.
Cameron into left center. That's falling fast. Anderson lays out and makes the catch. Brian Anderson robs Cameron of an extra base hit and an RBI. Two terrific plays by the White Sox center fielder, but Casey McGehee puts the Brewers back on top. Career home run number 1 for McGehee. 2-1 Brew Crew.
McGee's first home run as Joey's from Milwaukee had to be a great thrill for you.
It was. It was like he picked me out and hit it right to me. That was a monster blast.
Well, I know they had to hook you up. Of course, you've been very cooperative. You are going to give Casey the ball back.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you get some good goodies in exchange.
I trust him. I'm not worried about it. Get a couple game tickets and an autograph. That's pretty fair, I think.
Well, Casey McGehee is a good guy, and I'm pretty sure he'll take care of you. So, Joe, enjoy the rest of the game. Hopefully you'll catch a few more up here today.
I wouldn't mind it. I like that we're ahead. That's good.
All right, guys, back to you.
See, now Joe is a team player to the truest sense. Not only does he give the ball back, he says he trusts whatever he gets in return. But then he references that the fact the Brewers have the lead right now. And that's what he's happy about.
True Brewer fan, doesn't care about any reward that he's going to get.
That's nice.
It was only until Telly reminded him that he might be able to get something out of it.
Well, I'm sure McGehee will sign whatever he wants, but to have that first home run ball is a special memory he'll have forever. Where's your first home run ball positioned in your house, Rock?
It's in the den. It used to be my son's bedroom, but now that he's out, he's in Phoenix. It's in a little special area. That and the first hit ball. I forget who got the home run ball that I hit, but I think they were looking for an autograph, but it wasn't mine. Could you get me a Molitor and a Young? That's the way things go sometimes.
That leads us to our Aflac trivia question. Who did Casey McGehee get his first major league hit off of? That's a great question. And there's a definite connection here today, I'll tell you that. I know the answer to that question.
You do, huh?
I do. So 2 firsts for McGehee in the ballpark today. His first home run ball against Mark Buehrle, and his first hit was against another player in the ballpark today.
Well, probably as a member of the Chicago Cubs.
McGehee got his first hit as a member of the Cubs, correct.
Could have been Braden Looper.
That would be a good guess. A lot of matchups with the Cardinals.
Maybe interleague play, one of the White Sox.
Could have been a White Sox. Plenty of options. Plenty of guesses. Think about it. We'll have the answer for you next half inning.
Todd Coffey, perhaps. Hoffman.
Might not be a pitcher even.
Like Carlos Corcoran. His base hit.
His first, Carlos Corcoran's first major league hit was against Paul Janisch, the Cincinnati shortstop.
Right.
I got to tell you, Rock, Brian Anderson's outfield play has inspired me to want to put the glove back on again.
Why don't you join us out in the instructional today? We're going to be in the outfield. You know we have the kids base run on Sundays. We can't use the infield.
Oh, okay.
Are you willing to join us?
Are you going to hit me like Looper just did?
No.
All right, then I'm in.
Not on purpose.
A hit batter. Anderson after making 2 terrific catches.
So everybody heard that. Brian Anderson, our Brian Anderson in the booth, is going to join us for today's on-field instruction. No backing out.
All right, I'm in. Outfield play, huh? You're not going to ask me to lay out like Brian Anderson of the White Sox just did.
No, if we do that, that'll be Davey.
Chris Getz with 1 out and a runner at first. Anderson takes off. Hit and run is on, and Getz fouls it away. The Brewers get hit a lot, and they hit the opposition quite a bit. Only the Phillies have hit more, and you know it has a lot to do with the ballparks that these two teams play in. You have to pitch inside to be effective, especially when you have a ballpark where there are a lot of home runs. Base hit. Getz just slaps one to the opposite field. He has 2 hits in this game. And the White Sox putting up a rally here at the bottom of their order with 2 on and 1 away.
Yeah, doing a nice job just hitting the ball where it's pitched. Gets in back-to-back at bats. His first base hit came up the middle. That pitch up and away just serves it out into left field.
Well, you've got the 8th place hitter coming up, and then Mark Burley, the pitcher. So a way out of this inning for Looper. This is the key batter here in Gordon Beckham. Beckham, playing in only his 10th game at the big league level, was promoted on the 4th of June from AAA Charlotte. .65 pitches for Looper as we play in the 4th. Beckham just seems a little late on the fastball at this point. From what we've seen on him so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And average fastballs at that. I mean, that last pitch at 83 miles an hour, not able to get the bat head out on it. He's got a bit of a loop in his swing. He starts with the barrel of the bat behind his head, a la Gary Sheffield. Kind of slows the swing down.
A little Ricky Weeks look about him too with that bat, the little waggle. In there for a strike.
But I'm sure he did that down in the minor leagues where he racked up some pretty big numbers.
In 45 games between AA and AAA, Beckham hit 4 home runs, drove in 25, and had 23 doubles. A .326 hitter down there. Maybe to the big leagues a little earlier than the White Sox would like, but here he is, and learning his way at the major league level. Mike Cameron was telling a story the other day when he came up with the White Sox straight from AA Birmingham. Walt Reniak was the hitting coach back then, who had that patterned hitting style. There's a line drive down the right field line. That's trouble. That's going to go all the way to the wall. Anderson scores. Here comes Getz. He'll score. A 2-run double by Beckham. And the White Sox are back on top.
And he was behind that one too, but Unfortunately for Looper, out over the plate. Pretty good swing, getting on top of it, and whistles it right down the right field line. And Beckham gives the White Sox a lead.
Beckham, who drove in his first 2 Major League RBIs yesterday, picks up 2 with 1 swing of the bat here. And Bill Castro wanted to talk it over with Looper.
Hey, Brewer fans, can you guess which Little Leaguer is now in the majors? Look in Friday's Milwaukee Journal Sentinel with a Know This Pro Player sweepstakes sponsored by U.S. Cellular.
With 1 out, here's Burley. Burley, who homered his last time up. First of his career and only the 2nd RBI of his Major League career. Back to that story on Cameron, he said he showed up in the big leagues. They felt, he might have been a little overmatched coming from Double-A. After his first round of batting practice, Walt Reniak met him on the other side of the cage and immediately began to work through it. And you see Burley's home run. That's the temptation that you fight as a big league coaching staff when you get a young player.
Not too many guys are going to do that. I mean, if anybody would, it would be Walt Reniak. He's got some good credentials, but still in all, ordinarily, you're going to take a look at a guy and see how successful he's going to be and how he responds up there at the plate. But after his first BP session, that's a bit premature.
Yeah.
Did it work?
Cameron never changed. I mean, he's as anti-Walt Reniak as it gets as far as the hitting style goes.
Right.
Reniak preached getting up on that front foot. Actually, if you think about Frank Thomas's swing, that would be the ideal Walt Reniak swing, where you actually let the bat go.
George Brett.
Mm-hmm.
The Charlie Lau theory.
Burley will advance the runner here. 2nd out in the inning, but Beckham ends up at third base. Dale Swain was talking about that with Matt Gamble. You've got to let a guy get settled in somewhat in the major leagues. You come up here for the first time like Beckham, your head is spinning, and you're getting so much by way of critiques and constructive criticism, not just with how to play the game, but everything that surrounds the game concerning a big league player.
Yep, newspapers hammering on you, particularly when you get off to a slow start. So the last thing you need to do is start to make radical adjustments in any part of your game. You sink or swim based on what you did in the minor leagues. You don't change much until you have a complete body of work. Sometimes they won't do anything for an entire season.
Scott Podsednik, former Brewer, is 0 for 2. He's got a runner at third and 2 outs. It's a big batter for Looper. White Sox have taken the lead here in the 4th. Beckham driving in 2 on a double down the right field line. Three and 1 to Podsednik.
You got Billy Hall on the grass, and Scott Podsednik still looking as though he wanted to offer to bunt. Backed off just a little bit with a 3-1 count.
Takes a strike. 3 and 2. Podsednik was an all-star with the White Sox back in 05, his lone all-star appearance. Been swinging the bat well, and he sends that one back up the middle. And the White Sox add to their lead. It's now 4-2. 3 runs in the inning. Good piece of 2-out, 2-strike hitting by Scott Podsednik.
Well, back-to-back fastballs by Luke. First, the 3-1 pitch was down around the knees. That went out over the plate. Very similar to the pitch that Beckham hit. And the base hit by Chris Getz. So every time it seems that Looper gets the ball up in the zone, the White Sox are taking advantage of it.
Bottom of the order doing damage. Started with Anderson's plate appearance when he was hit by a pitch. And then back-to-back hits from Getz and Beckham. Pasednik drives in the 3rd run of the inning, the 4th run of the game for the White Sox, and is always a threat to run. Pasednik stole 70 bases for the Brewers back in '04. The year before, he was an all-star with the White Sox in that World Series season of 2005. Alexi Ramirez 0 for 2.
Yeah, with Ramirez at the plate, not a guy that's going to hit a lot of home runs, so you figure Pasednik wants to get into second base, scoring a base hit. The guy doesn't mind taking pitches. It's kind of a guy you need behind Pasednik.
Looks like he wants to run, and Looper, sensing the same thing, checks on him. That 70 stolen base year for Pasednik at '04. Second all-time in Brewers franchise history. Tommy Harper has the all-time mark at 73. Harper did that in 1969. One ball, one strike. Looper backs off.
Yeah, Pasednik got picked off at first base on Friday. Looked like he wanted to steal then. He said he made 2 outs on the bases on Friday.
That one's drilled left field line, hooking foul. 1-2 the count. Ramirez, wiry thin, but he has some pop in his bat. He showed surprising power last year when he hit 21 home runs from the second base position. And he set a major league rookie record with 4 grand slams last year.
Amazing. As you mentioned, not a big guy, but pretty strong.
Lost out to Evan Longoria of the Tampa Bay Rays for Rookie of the Year a season ago.
He stands in that batter's box like Soriano with the Cubs. He's got that front foot in the front part of the batter's box. You don't see too many guys stand there. Most of the guys are back in the box.
Soriano's the only other guy that I can think of who stands that far forward. That one's popped up. Cameron will have an easy play at this one. The inning is over, but the White Sox strike 3 times, and they lead 4-2.
First ever home run, a deep fly ball to right on a 3-2 pitch, and it was Casey McGee with his first career home run to give the Brewers a short-lived 2-1 lead. And Gordon Beckham, really off to a tough start in his White Sox career, clears the bases with a double.
And Beckham now with 4 RBIs in his last 2 games against the Brewers. Posednik added to the lead in the 4th inning with a 2-out hit. 4-2, Milwaukee trails Chicago as we play in the bottom of the 4th inning. Well, you hate to keep giving away leads against Mark Buehrle, a guy who can lock in at any point. The Brewers have let 2 leads get away so far today. Hart leads off. He'll be followed by Hall and then Kendall. Brewers trying to salvage only their 2nd win on this homestand. It's been a rough one. Hart sends that one high in the air to center field. Anderson at the track running out of room, and it's gone. Corey Hart, a solo home run to start the 4th, his 7th of the year, and the Brewers within a run.
Well, it's about time to get Bernie Brewer a workout down that slide. 2nd time today. Only the 3rd on the homestand. Not a bad pitch by Mark Buehrle. Good approach by Corey Hart to knock it right back through the box into center field. That pitch was away.
First home run for Hart since June 2nd in Florida. And the 7th of the season. Hart starting to heat up at the plate. Now has a 5-game hitting streak going.
That's one thing that you got to think about with this Brewer offense. A lot of these guys very, very streaky. Corey Hart certainly a streaky hitter. Mike Cameron, JJ. About time for all of them to get hot at some point.
Hall with a couple of hits in the series. Pops it up. Konerko is back. Getz coming over. Getz makes the play in foul territory. Hall is retired. First out of the 4th inning. And our Aflac trivia question: who did Casey McGee get his first major league hit off of? Aflac. And the answer is Braden Looper. Last year, McGee playing for the Cubs against Looper's Cardinals.
I know Casey McGee remembers it. I'm not sure if Loop remembers it.
Just another guy.
Just another hit. Another at bat.
Well, you'd like to see McGee get a chance to swing the bat here in this inning. Somebody's going to have to reach for that to happen. Kendall followed by Looper. 4-3, the Brewers down a run on their 2nd home run of the game against Buehrle. Kendall's really been chipping away at that batting average. Has 5 hits on the homestand now, 5 for 12. A little lazy pop up into center field. Anderson's got it, 2 outs. So Buehrle, after the home run by Hart, 2 fly ball outs to center field. Excuse me, 2 fly ball outs. And here's Braden Looper. That's the inning. So Corey Hart brings the Brew Crew back within a run. His 7th homer of the year on Family Day at Miller Park. Brewers' first pick in the draft just a couple of days ago. Eric Arnett, 21-year-old pitcher from Indiana University. Congratulations, you made it official today. What was it like for you to go through the entire process of becoming a Brewer?
Oh, it's been great. Ever since I got up here, everyone's been outstanding. Fans, I got a chance to talk with a lot of them down there today, and it's been amazing.
How was draft day for you? Did you get any indication that the Brewers were interested in you, or what was the day like for you?
Well, I knew they were interested. I mean, I didn't know how high it was, but we had a pretty good a party at a local restaurant in my hometown, and a little over 100 people there, and it went nuts when the Brewers called my name. So,
no, it's good that you signed early. A lot of guys first round take a while, but you want to get your professional career going. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. I think it benefits, has a tremendous upside, and there's a lot of advantages to sign early rather than taking a year off. So
get it going and get busy. That's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Pot of gold's at the end of the rainbow, right?
That's right. I ain't got nothing yet. So.
Well, Eric Arnett will be headed off tomorrow. Matter of fact, I believe you're headed to Montana, correct?
That's right. Leave tomorrow and should be there by sometime later tonight.
There's been some talk about your workload at Indiana. You pitched a lot. College pitchers, especially aces, pitch a great deal, and high pitch counts. Has there been any indication of your workload once you get to rookie ball and the lower level A ball?
Yeah, I mean, that's a concern they have. They're definitely going to take it a little easier on me, I think. But I mean, the arm's great, and as long as my arm stays healthy, I think I'll be able to pitch as much as they want me to. So right now it's all pretty good.
Here are the numbers for Eric Arnett. You still 6'5", or you still growing? I've heard 6'6" as of today. Is that true?
Yeah, some people. I think it depends what shoes I'm wearing. So.
12-2 record at Indiana and a 2.5 earned run average. You guys had a great year, a Big Ten co-pitcher of the year. You guys went to postseason play for the first time in a while. I know you're proud of your career at Indiana, and the one connection you had between Milwaukee and Indiana was Tom Crean, the former Marquette coach.
Yeah, I was able to actually put an IU basketball jersey on this year for 2.5 months, and he's been a great guy, and he's been tremendous with everything he's done for me. Talked to a lot of people, especially in the Brewers organization, and he's been outstanding.
Describe yourself as a pitcher to us. Power arm, obviously. What do you feature out there on the mound?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely a big guy. Go out there, I'll attack with the fastball. I mean, that's my number one pitch. And then a decent slider that's starting to get a lot better, and has definitely become one of my out pitches. And I know I'm going to have to work more on change up and perfect that a little more along with my splitter, and those are the 4 pitches I throw. Mostly fastball slider kind of guy. But.
Did you have a chance to talk to Trevor Hoffman about maybe that changeup?
No, I was joking around yesterday. Said I'll give him a couple miles per hour if he trades that with me.
You might want to hang out in that clubhouse after the game. Maybe 5 minutes with him might be all you need.
Yeah, exactly. So
what do you know about Montana?
Not a whole lot. I'm pretty big. I like to fish, so hopefully that's what I'll get a chance to do out there.
You'll fit in right here. Eric, it's great to have you in the booth. Congratulations. Huge moment for you, and we look forward to seeing you back real soon.
Thank you. I hope I can be here in a couple years, and I'll be out there on the field.
All right. Eric Arnett, the Brewers' first pick just a couple of days ago. He is on his way now in a Brewers uniform. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Casey McGee leads off the 5th inning for the Brewers. 2 for 2 against Burley today. Had a double and a run scored in the first and hit his first big league home run in the third. It was good to visit with Eric Arnett. Man, you could tell he's got a little something to him. You know, he's got the moxie. He's very polite kid.
It's great that he signed, you know, when he did, and not one of those kids that's going to string it out and miss half the season. And you get in there, get going, and make your money at the back end of it. You love that. The way it should be.
I was talking to Doug Melvin today about players who are holding out for more money, and yes, there are some hundreds of thousands involved, but you take an example like Ryan Braun. Braun was another guy who wanted to get signed and get started, knowing what was at the end of the rainbow, right?
Yeah.
Braun, if he misses the entire summer after he was drafted in 05, if he doesn't get started that year, obviously he doesn't make it to the big leagues in 07. That was his Rookie of the Year campaign. And
plus, what's he doing all summer?
Right.
I mean, you never get those years back. You never get that time back.
McGee with another base hit. How about Casey McGee? His third hit. The third time he's led off in this game. He's got a double, a home run, and now a single off Burley.
Yep, 3 of the 6 Brewer hits have come off the bat of the Brewers leadoff hitter, and just continues to get better every time they throw him out there.
McGee is red hot. He is a triple away from the cycle. The Brewers have a base runner on to start this 5th inning. And J.J. Hardy with a chance to put him back on top with one swing of the bat.
Well, got to take advantage. Mark Burley not as sharp as he's been throughout the year. You mentioned that his month of June a bit subpar for Mark Burley. He's been walking a few batters. His command isn't what it was, particularly in the month of May. Got to jump on him.
Hardy hit one deep to center field his last time up, right on the line. It's a good catch by the center fielder Brian Anderson. Ball and 2 strikes on JJ.
And before today, in 2 June starts, Burley had given up 9 earned runs in 14 1/3 innings. That's a lot for him.
The 1-2. They'll ask if he went, and palms down. Hardy able to check his swing. 2-2 on J.J. Hardy. That was close. McGee with a short lead at first, and Hardy fouls it away. They're looking at some of the numbers on Mark Burley this year, you know, as far as stolen bases go and how well he controls the running game. Not only has he not allowed a stolen base against him all year, there hasn't even been an attempt at a stolen base this season against Burley.
And in his career, he's picked off 59 runners. That'll keep you close. You know, with most guys that have a decent move, it's basically a step and a dive. With Burley, it's basically a step. Because once you start diving, it might be too late. He's got such a good move over there.
Yeah, this is when you break out the Little League lead against Mark Burley.
And again, it's not just the running game. You know, the stolen bases that you eliminate, it's, you know, a guy might not be able to score from first base on a double. You might get that force out and the ball in the hole.
Hardy takes a called strike 3. And his struggles continue at the plate. 4th strikeout for Mark Burley. Well, baseball's biggest stars go head to head for one spectacular night in the summer's biggest event, as Fox brings you a thrilling All-Star game. 2009 MLB All-Star game from St. Louis, July 14th, 7 p.m. Central, only on Fox. The Brewers will be back on Fox next Saturday. They would like to change their luck a little bit on national television. Hasn't gone well this season. Tigers and the Brewers next Saturday on Fox as well. There's Eric Arnett and his dad, Bill Arnett.
Nice to see him in a tie. respectful young man and respectful of the situation and what it's all about.
From Pataskala, Ohio, and Indiana University. Braun doubled his last time up. He's hit the ball right on the nose twice. He lined out to center field in the first and then shot one in the gap. That one's off the hands, and that one's going to be played by Posednik. 2 outs.
And that brings us to today's Tavern of the Game winners. The outfit in Stevens Point, if they call the Brewers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, they get 40 tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
Sellout crowd at Miller Park. White Sox and the Brewers matching up for the first time in Milwaukee since 2001. Here's Fielder with 2 away. Burley's been tough on Fielder today. He did single and drive in a run in the first, but it was a cue shot right off the end of the bat that found a hole. Tough to stay in there on that good cut fastball from Burley.
And that's the pitch that Ryan Braun flew out on his last time up. I mean, that cut fastball starts down the middle, and then with that late movement right in on the hands. That's why Ryan jammed himself.
Fielder, foul territory in the seats, and it's quickly no balls and 2 strikes on Prince. Prince now at 56 RBIs. Ibanez and Pujols ahead of Fielder for the National League RBI race. Putting together all-star credentials this year for sure. Trying to make it his second all-star appearance. We spoke to Prince on the last homestand. If selected to the all-star team, he will participate in the home run derby.
And Albert has said that he's going to participate.
Another one off the end of the bat. And Getz flips it to second. Inning is over. Leadoff single goes for naught. Brewers still down a run as we head to the 6th. By AirTran. Go. There's nothing stopping you. And by Aflac. We've got you under our wing. 6th inning from Miller Park, Milwaukee. And the White Sox batting against Braden Looper. 4-3 Chicago. Final game of the series. The Brewers trying to win this series. They'll need a victory here today to do that. Anderson is 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch in the fourth, and that started a 3-run Chicago fourth inning. Anderson batting out of the 6th hole today. The 6th, 7th, and 8th place hitters all scored runs in the fourth. Popped him up. Cameron has a play on it. And Looper has one out in the 6th. I want to say happy birthday to our buddy Marty Welskoff. 31 years he's been with the Brewers. And his birthday is tomorrow. The big 5-0. His wife Dorothy passed that along. Familiar faces around Miller Park.
Yeah, Marty and Ed Welskoff, the attendants over there at the press box, make sure that we are safe and sound here in the booth. Marty doesn't even look 31.
That's because he's 50.
He looks young.
31 years with the Brewers, and he looks about that age.
31 years.
And he started when he was 4.
I've been here for many of them. And I've never seen a hair out of place on his head.
Right.
His hair looks like one of those claymation molds. I mean, it's perfect every day.
Attention to grooming, you're saying. Octavio Dotel getting loose for the White Sox.
And I'm jealous.
That's kind of the way yours looks.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Marty.
Well, Getz has been a thorn in Looper's side this afternoon. He has 2 hits, 2 singles, and he scored a run in the fourth. 4-3 White Sox. .100 pitches for Looper. And that one's well hit to right. Hart at the warning track with room. He's got it for the out. Slightly off the end of the bat. And that's the only thing that kept it in the ballpark. 2 gone. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Brewers. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of Marty Welskoff and the Milwaukee Brewers. 2 outs. Gordon Beckham at the plate. I would imagine his confidence is starting to rise a little bit. He doubled in 2 runs last time up. 2 RBIs yesterday.
Well, nobody that you talk to with this White Sox club think that this guy's not going to be a good player. It's just a matter of him maintaining his confidence during this rough stretch.
Well, he is the #1 prospect in the White Sox organization. Excellent glove man. And for now, he'll get his at-bats. Bounces that one. Hall cuts it off. And a good play to end the inning. Nice inning for Looper. 3 up, 3 down. Mike Cameron leads off when we come back. The Brewers down a run. 0-2 season. Cameron, as a member of the Mariners, did it against the team that brought him to the big leagues, the Chicago White Sox. Cameron said that's when he had a chip on his shoulder concerning the White Sox. Tying a Major League record, 4 homers in a game. 2002, one of Mike Cameron's greatest days as a Major Leaguer. And Cameron set to lead off. Cameron is 0 for 2. Anderson made a diving catch on him his last time up in the third. In the gap in left center. The Brewers down a run, 4-3 against Mark Buehrle.
He's seen some tremendous defense in this series on both sides. Brewers made some tremendous plays on Friday. That diving catch by Corey Hart on Friday. JJ's play up the middle. And some good outfield play today.
And Cameron is gone quickly. Buehrle on 3 pitches strikes out Mike Cameron for out number 1. Toyota game summary. Been some long balls today. Mark Buehrle, his first career home run. That came in the 3rd inning. It tied the game at 1. And then Casey McGee, his first career home run. That put the Brewers on top 2-1. But then the White Sox scored 3 runs in the 4th. Only to have Corey Hart lead off with a home run in the bottom of the 4th and pull within a run. And here's Hart with 1 away. Hart showing tremendous power to center field his last time up.
And on a pretty good pitch. The pitch was a little bit above the knees, outer half. You try and pull that one, it's an easy out, but he went right with it. Right back into center field, and with his leverage, as tall as he is, able to knock it out of there by plenty.
Hart now with a 5-game hit streak. Has 5 runs batted in during this streak as well. Seth McClung getting loose. And a little bit of talk about McClung and the starting rotation. Manny Parra sent to AAA yesterday. Hart hammers that one deep center field. Anderson back, and we are tied. Corey Hart has tied the game. His 2nd home run. Tremendous power from the 6'6" Corey Hart. His 8th of the year, and we're all square at 4.
Well, we talk about how streaky a lot of these guys in his Brewer lineup are. Maybe Corey getting into one of those stretches where he could carry you for a while. That pitch in on him. The last one was away from him. This one in. Able to pull the hands in and knock it out of here again to center field by plenty.
Oh, just an effortless swing. Effortless power, they call it.
Got a very quick bat. Very quick bat.
4-4, we're all tied. Buehrle's given up 3 home runs to the Brewers. His 5th career multi-home run game. And Buehrle makes a nice play on Hall. 2 outs.
Might as well set McClung up in that bullpen just in case the Brewers got something going. Ken Maka would have had the option to go to the bench for a pinch hitter. And it looks as though Looper's done anyway.
And Looper over the 100 pitch count. Well, Kendall would like to give Gamble a chance to swing the bat. Gamble's already moved into the on-deck circle. Kendall is 0 for 2. Kendall's really handled the bat well in his last few games. You take it back 11 games. Kendall batting over 340. Collected his 2,000th hit earlier this year. He's one of just 3 catchers in the history of the game to collect 2,000 hits and play in 1,800 games.
It's a lot of wear and tear. All those games behind home plate, particularly the way Jason Kendall gets beat up behind home plate. And see how tough it must be to see right now. Back-to-back days. A 3:10 start yesterday. Probably the worst conditions, maybe in any ballpark, with the shadows here at Miller Park, with everything opened up and this bright sunshine, and very tough to see.
This is the time of day that the hitters say it's at its toughest, when the pitcher is in the shadow, but the bright sunshine in the backdrop behind him all the way through the outfield grass and onto the wall. Kendall, a line shot caught by Ramirez, and the side retired, but Corey Hart does it again. His second home run of the game, and the Brewers have tied the score at 4. less filling. And by Toyota, proud sponsor of the Milwaukee Brewers and the Tundra Territory at Miller Park. Sellout crowd, and the Brewers have done it with the long ball today. They have been able to come back against Mark Buehrle. Corey Hart with 2 solo home runs, and we're all even at 4 apiece as we head to the Chicago 7th inning. And it's going to be Seth McClung to take over for Braden Looper out of that Milwaukee bullpen.
McClung has been throwing the baseball very well. A 1.67 ERA over his last 19 appearances. That covers 27 innings. Last pitched on Friday against the Sox and picked up a scoreless inning.
Craig Counsell comes into the game on the double switch. Counsell will lead off the bottom of the 7th. Casey McGee slides over to play third base, his natural position. So both starters are out as Jason Nix pinch hits for Mark Buehrle to start this 7th inning. Very similar lines between the two. Each starting pitcher giving up 4 runs in 6 innings on 7 hits. Buehrle walked 1, struck out 3. Looper walked nobody, struck out 2. Jason Nix, the brother of former Brewer Lance Nix, now with the Reds. Breaks his bat. Braun's got a long way to go. Coming in, slides, and he's got it. Ryan Braun makes the catch. And 1 away here in the 7th inning. And Rocket has been a series of defense courtesy of Home Depot.
Yeah, J.J. Hardy making a tremendous play up the middle. Able to get Podsednik. Billy Hall with a force out. That on Friday as well. And how about the play by Corey Hart to save a couple of runs, maybe 3. And Mike Cameron in a 7-0 game yesterday, making a very nice play in the gap. Our home defense Home Depot doing more on defense.
And Braun with a nice play here for the first out. Talking to Braun about this slide, and although he can run through it, this is a trick that Ed Cedar taught him when he first went to the outfield, to try to keep his eye level the same as the baseball. And Braun has really showed his athleticism to be able to take to that kind of play.
Interesting approach. Let's just put it that way. You don't see many guys do that. A lot of guys just run right through it. But you get lower, as you mentioned, you can see it a little bit better, and you have a little bit more time to get there because you're lower to the ground.
Ed Cedar doesn't like his outfielders to turn the glove over if you don't need to. And I remember when Braun first started doing that, we were asking Ed Cedar, is that really necessary? Can he just run through the baseball? He goes, no, I want him to do it that way.
I'm just like him. Is that a soundbite?
It's a soundbite. It's all about eye level, Rock.
He's a heck of an outfield coach, though.
He is.
Yes, he is.
Stays on top of it. And perhaps the inventor of the outfielder's card that has the positions on it. You know how quarterbacks keep it on their wrist. He came up with the card system and a positioning system. That leads us to our Ho-Chunk Gaming text question. Do outfielders practice diving catches, or is it pure instinct? Kevin from Milton.
I don't recall ever seeing Eddie Cedar hitting fungos in the outfield during batting practice and having Ryan dive all over the field.
Pasetnik into center, playable for Cameron. No slide or dive required here. 2 outs.
It's more or less, they talk about it, and they talk about the possible situations where you might do it, and then if it happens in the game, that's when you do it. Too much of a chance for injury if you start doing that in batting practice.
Well, all three of the Brewers outfielders in this series have made terrific plays. Ramirez, soft liner, that's going to fall, a base hit. Got in on his hands, but Ramirez strong enough to muscle it into center field, and it's a 2-out hit. And that is going to bring Pierzynski to the plate.
Alexi Ramirez already has 225 at-bats. That's a lot of at-bats. He's only walked 17 times. He struck out 29 times. So he puts it in play. There's no messing around with that guy. White Sox would like him to be a little bit more patient at the plate.
That was from Cuba. And for so many years, the saying was, you don't walk your way off the island. You hit your way off.
That's right. But with his wheels, the way he can run, Ozzie Guillen would love to be able to have him walk a little bit more.
Nine for 11 in stolen base opportunities this year. He's got a big lead. Pierzynski has 2 hits today, 2 for 3. And his batting average is now over 300 for the season. He's at 301. Had 2 hits on Friday night and an RBI double. Ramirez takes off. Kendall bobbles, but his throw not in time. Ramirez steals second base. Looked like he had him. Second base umpire Tim McClellan, the crew chief, right on top of it. And calls him safe.
Well, it's going to go down as a strike, but the little bit of a bobble by Jason cost him the caught stealing. Perfect throw right on the bag, just a little bit late. And Tim McClellan nonchalantly calls him safe, but it looked like he got it right. That will go down as a strike. A 1-2 count. Pierzynski checked his swing. Prince Fielder asking the home plate umpire to check it down at third base, and he rung him up.
So 1 ball, 2 strikes on Pierzynski with a runner at second. In a tie game in the 7th. Big pitch from McClung. Pierzynski fouls it away, put the fastball by him. Big fastball from McClung, 96 miles an hour.
And you know what? There's not much to gets by Prince Fielder down there at first base. Not many first basemen are going to really see that and have the home plate umpire ask for help down third base. You know, Prince is right on top of that play. What a difference, 1-2 or 2-1 with the count.
So the delayed appeal. Pierzynski unable to check his swing. Hardy trying to keep Ramirez close. It's almost a sure bet to score on a base hit, especially with 2 outs. He'll be on the move with a crack of the bat. Kendall makes a good play. 2 balls, 2 strikes on A.J. Pierzynski. Ken Macha will have 8 pitchers in his bullpen for the next couple of weeks. He does not need a 5th starter until the 27th of June. And the Brewers, because of off days, will stick with a 4-man rotation until further notice. Pierzynski into left. That's well hit. Back is Braun. He's got it sized up and he makes the catch. And McClung strands a big base runner at second. All tied. We head to the home 7th. Stretch time at Miller Park.
Offensively, Casey McGee and Corey Hart, but Davey, you got to have Hart with Corey Hart.
That's right, and you know, Corey is one of those streaky hitters, partner, but he's on a little roll right now. He's seeing the ball well, staying back, and hitting the ball where it's pitched. Right here, ball right down the middle plate, just took it dead central, boy. That ball had to be swallowed to get up that high, but he's hitting the ball where it's pitched. That was a little more middle in, and he took it to the other side of center field, so the left field side of center field. So he's seeing the ball well.
The only people mad about those home runs beside the White Sox, Corey Hart's fans out and right. Both those home runs going just straight away center field. But it's a 4-4 game right now. Coming up on our Brewers Live postgame report after the game, sponsored by Lincoln Mercury. Of course, we're going to have full postgame reaction from both clubhouses and our on-field instructional. Well, we're going to go out to right field while the kids run the bases and outfielders throwing techniques. So Bill and Davey are getting ready for our instructional coming up in our Brewers Live postgame report.
We're going to try to get BA in there and do it too.
Oh yeah, I think, Brian, this is a good day for him to participate.
That's right.
He's got nothing else going on.
There we go.
All right, BA.
Looking forward to that. Loosen up the old shoulder. White Sox go to the bullpen. Jimmy Gobble gives us a chance to dig up the archives courtesy of Diggers, and let's Go back to 1987, the bullpen coach of the White Sox, then Brewers pitcher Juan Nieves, firing the first and only Brewers no-hitter. April 15th of 1987, his catcher was Bill Schroeder, and a reunion of sorts between Messrs. Schroeder and Nieves here in this series with the White Sox.
Got a chance to talk to Juan before the ball game today. Did not see him on Friday. Always good to catch up with Juan. He said that he would consider coming to Brewers Fantasy Camp. That would be great. There's Juanito. Talk about an arm, a live arm. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm telling you.
Injuries just wiped out his playing career. He's been a long-time coach and handful of seasons here in the big leagues with the White Sox.
Bad shoulder. Did him in.
Speaking of the bullpen, Jimmy Gobble out of the White Sox bullpen to face Craig Counsell. Counsell was in on a double switch, so this is his first hit, or pinch hit, excuse me, first at bat of the game.
Yeah, he was down in the minor leagues. They called him up on May 11th. Started the season in the minor leagues. 10th appearance today.
A little pop up, and Beckham makes a nice over the shoulder catch. A frustrating at bat for Counsell. You hate fouling out. And it's one gone here in the 7th.
And it's 1 out for Jimmy Gobble. It looks like Ozzie Guillen on his way out with a slew of right-handers coming up, 3 to be exact. That will be it for Gobble. 3 left-handers in Ozzie Guillen's bullpen, along with 4 right-handers.
We'll take a timeout. Back to the bullpen goes Ozzie. Stay with us.
$10,000 fans 13 and under get a Ryan Braun Fathead tradable. Compliments of Century Foods and Dean's. For tickets, call 414-902-4000 or go to brewers.com.
#15th sellout of the year here at Miller Park. 3 consecutive sellouts this weekend against the White Sox. And a 4-4 game with 1 out. Pitching change has Octavio Dotel in for Jimmy Gobble. Gobble faced just 1 hitter. And it's Dotel to face the top of the Brewers order.
Yeah, appeared in Friday's game against the Brewers. 28th appearance for Dotel. Still very effective with the fastball. Doesn't throw it as hard as he used to, but still a very good slider.
Former big league closer Octavio Dotel facing Casey McGee off the end of the bat. And for the first time this afternoon, the White Sox retire Casey McGee, who is now 3 for 4. Still hitting over 500 on the homestand. 2 outs. And here is Hardy. Hardy is 0 for 3. Struck out looking his last time up against Burley. The Brewers connect for 3 home runs against Mark Burley today. First time all year he's given up 3 home runs. Matter of fact, Buehrle had only given up 2 home runs in 1 game this season. That was against the Indians. Neither starter will factor in the decision. Buehrle and Looper both 6 innings, 4 runs. And this one is up to the bullpens the rest of the way.
And Corey Hart hit a couple of decent pitches out of the ballpark. The one was away from him. His second one was maybe in off the plate. So 2 good pitches, and Corey Hart maybe he's starting to heat up a bit.
Hardy down on strikes. 3 up, 3 down inning for the White Sox bullpen. To the 8th we go. Tied at 4 at Miller Park. Coach help mostly, Rock?
Well, Lou Randolph, I mean, just keeps Ken Macha, up to speed on some of the stuff that may be obvious. I mean, who's coming up? What guys you might want to think about getting loose in the bullpen based on, the opposition's batting order in a given inning. Possible pinch hitters, where the pitcher is in the lineup when he's coming up in an inning. So just this may be a little bit of a checks and balances system in the dugout.
Paul Konerko with a leadoff single to start this 8th inning. I think a bench coach in the National League anyway really comes into play right about now when you start getting into the bullpens and you're trying to figure out matchups and looking at that other team's lineup and who they have available on the bench. Not that Macha isn't aware of that, but he's a sounding board as much as anything else.
Well, right now, Ken Macha is really not thinking about the Brewers' bottom of the 8th inning, and that's where Willie Randolph, he's going to be thinking about that and, the possible pinch hitters that he could use. And whereas Ken Macha might not think about that at the given time. Have to always be ahead of the game.
Pinch runner here for the White Sox. Josh Fields will come on for Konerko and will likely stay into the game to play first base. Go ahead run is aboard for Chicago. Dwayne Wise the batter. McClung trying to give Macha 2 innings out of that bullpen. The Brewers have an extra left-hander in their pen today with Chris Narveson arriving here. Manny Parra sent to AAA Nashville yesterday, and Narveson was able to make a flight and make it here for this afternoon game. And that was a big part of the timing on the move for Manny Parra. I see Chris Narveson there, number 38. It's not seen a lot that a player is actually moved to AAA or any kind of player moved during a game, but because of the timing of the situation in AAA and their start time yesterday and the fact the Brewers had a day game, in order to get Narveson here, that move had to be made quickly. And Doug Melvin went down mid-game to start to work on the process. Narveson had to be told, and then of course you didn't want Manny Parra being the only guy who didn't know about it.
Well, the way the information highway is these days, I mean, you make a call down to the minor leagues, all of a sudden it's all over the internet. And you don't want to have one of your players find out that there's a move being made on them that way. You want to be able to tell them. So they had to do it because of the situation you were talking about as well, to allow Ken Maka to know that he's going to have an extra arm today. He might be able to use his bullpen differently yesterday.
So all that came into play as Doug Melvin made that decision yesterday. Wise trying to bunt, and they'll ask if he went. He did not. Able to pull it back, and it's 2-2.
Some of the news mediums out there, I had to laugh, last night and this morning, saying that Doug Melvin was so upset at Manny Parra's performance that he went down to that clubhouse and told him to pack his bags. I mean, that's the furthest thing from the truth. I mean, Doug would never do that. People jumping the gun.
So Maka does have that 8th pitcher in the bullpen today. Slapped into left center. Braun is there. So Wise trying to bunt the runner over early in the at-bat. Swings away with 2 strikes. And he lines out. That's a big out for McClung.
It hung up there just long enough and sliced as it got to Ryan, able to make an easy catch into left center. One of the things that Ozzie Guillen does not like is when his player is not able to execute and get that runner into scoring position. No manager like that, but particularly Ozzie Guillen.
McClung facing Brian Anderson here. Tough guy to double up, has great speed. 0 for 2. He reached when he was hit by a pitch in the 4th, part of that 3-run White Sox 4th inning. The Brewers have had 2 leads in this game, 1-0 and 2-1. The White Sox led 4-2, but Corey Hart with 2 solo home runs to bring the Crew back, and we're all tied in the 8th. McClung worked a scoreless 7th inning. Gave up a 2-out hit to Alexei Ramirez, but got Pierzynski to win the inning. And trying to give Ken Maka 2 big innings this afternoon. That one missed. Anderson walks on 4 straight. And now the White Sox have the go-ahead run in scoring position. With a left-hander coming up, and Chris Getz.
American Family Insurance will be hosting the first car seat safety check event on Thursday, June 18th from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Sausage House. For details, go to Brewers.com.
Chris Getz, who has 2 hits today, 2 for 3 at the plate. 2 on, just 1 out. And with 2 lefties in the bullpen, Maka sticks with McClung here against Getz. Stetter's been throwing.
They've got Getz and then nothing but right-handers after. Got 2 of them. You got Beckham and then a pinch hitter for the pitcher. You don't want to be blowing through your bullpen. You like to save Stetter for the top of the order.
Yeah, especially in a tie game. That one's grounded to Hardy. Got a chance here. Hardy to Counsell to turn. In time. A double play. And the Brewers are out of the inning. 6-4-3 double play. How about the big fella scooping one? Brewers coming up, still tied. the third. That put the Brewers on top. Corey Hart with the Brewers down 2. A solo home run in the 4th and a solo home run in the 6th inning to tie it up. And here we go to the home 8th. Ryan Braun leads off. And Octavio Dotel pitching in his 2nd inning. Gets ahead of Braun, no balls and a strike. Josh Field stays in the game to play first. Brewers turn a double play with 2 on and 1 out to get out of the inning. And the recipe pretty simple for Milwaukee. Get a run and then get to Hoffman for the 9th. Oh, 2 to Braun. Ryan has swung the bat well today. 1 for 3 at the plate. A line drive out and a line drive double into the gap. Braun with 13 home runs for the year. A little late. Foul territory. Fields is over. Runs out of room.
Yeah, 93, 94 miles an hour for Dotel to go with that good slider. I mean, you have to be aware of that slider. It's such a good pitch for him. That's why he's able to sneak the fastball by you. You got to look fastball, hope you get it. Really the only way you're going to be able to square it up.
And Braun strikes out. So Dotel has come on and gotten 2 strikeouts in his 3 batters faced.
Yeah, slider. Good pitch. Throws it hard, short and quick. Not a lot of movement on it, but enough.
And back to the mound goes Ozzie Guillen. Fielder is coming up. Ozzie will take the ball from Dotel, who works a complete inning. 3 batters for Dotel, 2 strikeouts. Matt Thornton, the big lefty, coming on to face Prince. Stay with us. Davey breaking down outfield throwing techniques. That's coming up right after the game today. 25th appearance of the year for Matt Thornton. Power lefty out of that White Sox bullpen.
Yeah, big man, 6'6", 230. He throws in the mid-90s with a very good slider.
Left-handed hitters batting only 105 against Thornton this year. He has 20 strikeouts. Left-handed hitters only 4 for 38 against the big lefty. Fielder takes a strike, even in the count.
Nobody getting loose in that White Sox bullpen, so I would imagine this is his inning to finish.
Fielder into center field. Won't carry as Anderson has it for the out. And 2 gone in the Brewer 8th.
He's so tall, and he's got that nice fluid delivery. The ball just explodes out of his hand. He's got good stuff. Not a lot of movement on the fastball, but he throws 94 to 96 miles an hour. Not too many left-handers like that.
Thornton was a first rounder by the Seattle Mariners in the '98 draft. Traded to the White Sox at '06. He came up as a starting pitcher in the Mariners system. A couple of home runs given up to right-handed batters this year.
I'm surprised there's not a right-hander getting loose. I mean, nothing but right-handers now for Ken Maka.
Two balls and a strike to Cameron. 2-2. Cameron, the former White Sox, drafted by the White Sox, came up through their system. Strikes out. So that White Sox bullpen, which is very good, stingy again today. Still tied. We go to the 9th. Family Day here at Miller Park. Sellout crowd, 41,586. Final game of this homestand. The Brewers hit the road tomorrow. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. The Indians are next at Jacobs Field. 5:30. We're on the air Monday and Tuesday night on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Note Wednesday night's game on WMLW. And that is a 6 o'clock airtime. Trevor Hoffman in a tie game on the pitch. The 9th inning against the White Sox.
Now you see this a lot at home. A tie game in the 9th. You bring your closer in. No real save opportunities once you get to the 9th inning and you're tied. Hope is he puts up his ear when the Brewers come in that dugout, score a run. Has yet to be scored upon so far.
And has barely given up any hits. Hoffman has done this once before this year. Pitched yesterday. So Hoffman pitching in consecutive games. He pitched yesterday just to get some work, and his scoreless inning streak almost came to an end without a great catch from Mike Cameron. The young Beckham leads off, and Hoffman gets ahead of him. Cameron went face first into the center field wall with his club down 7-0 to make that play and keep the scoreless streak alive. Bouncer to McGee. 1 out on 2 pitches from Hoffman. And that sets the stage for a Hall of Fame matchup here. Jim Thome will pinch hit. against the great Trevor Hoffman. Two guys headed for Cooperstown. Matching up with one out here in the ninth. And Thome bunts.
Well, they got the big shift on. They got J.J. at short, nobody at third base. Casey McGee is playing up the middle. I don't think that's what Ozzie Guillen sent him up there to do. It's a bunt. He's trying to push it down the line to get a base hit. If he gets it fair, it's a hit.
Tries again. Brewers don't budge defensively.
I mean, that's what they'll give up a bunt any day. A guy like Thome, knock yourself out.
J.J. Hardy does creep back over a little bit, more towards third. Hardy still in the position on the left side of the infield. The third baseman McGee is now on the right side. New defensive alignment we've seen in the last couple of days. Hoffman with his 569 career saves, the all-time saves leader. Thome with his 553 career home runs. And a close pitch puts him in a hitter's count. Three and one to Thome. Tie game. Squares again. Draws the walk.
Well, that 2-1 pitch was pretty close. Just barely off the inside corner. I don't think that Hoffman wanted any part of Thome on a 3-1 pitch. Tried to butt his way on. A changeup. He fell behind 2-1 with changeups. Now here comes the pitch. Boy, didn't miss by much. And then at that point, I don't think Trevor wanted to throw him the strike.
So Thome, a pinch hit walk, lifted for a pinch runner. Hoffman surrendering only his second walk of the season. Top of the order, Posednik.
That's Friday's starting pitcher over at first base.
Yep, Clayton Richard. Richard doubled on Friday and showed very good speed. Former quarterback at University of Michigan. Strike. 1-2 the count on Posednik.
Boy, perfect pitches, both of them on the outside corner.
Hoffman this season has given up 8 hits and 2 walks. And we're in mid-June. Posednik just able to get a piece. And the count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. Posednik has grounded into 5 double plays this year. And that one's slapped into left, a base hit. And the White Sox have 2 on. Posednik looks like Ichiro when he swings the bat like that and slaps one to left.
Now the key is getting on top of it and hitting the ground ball, the line drive. A lot of guys are trying to go to the opposite field, but Posednik able to stay on top, follow through, and a one hopper into left field. That's a pretty good at bat.
As he's running into it from the box. 2 on for the White Sox now. They now have 10 hits.
And Trevor Hoffman just wants to make sure that he knows what the signs are with the man's at second base. Hasn't been in that situation too much this year.
Clayton Richard, Friday's starting pitcher, the pinch runner at second, came in for Tomei. And Pasetnik at first. Tie game, 1 out in the 9th. And Alexei Ramirez at the plate. Hoffman falls behind him. White Sox had a final at-bat win on Thursday against Detroit. A 9th inning hit by Pasetnik won the game for Chicago at home.
One thing's for sure, this guy's he's not gonna walk. He's not about to take too many pitches. Pretty good speed on the bases.
Ramirez has grounded into 6 double plays this year. It's a lot for a guy with his speed. It's that big swing he takes at the plate. Bounces it in. Kendall, a good job to keep that in front.
Yeah, both men would have been in scoring position and no chance at a double play. Change up down in front of home plate. Jason perfect and keep it in front of him.
Hoffman in a jam. 2 on, 1 out. Didn't want to, but fouls it away. And it's 2-2.
Might have been that slider there. That was 81 miles an hour. Changeup is never hardly in the 80s.
Coffee heating up quickly. The Brewers will have Hart, a pinch hitter, and then Kendall due up in the 9th inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Ramirez. And another foul ball on a excuse me swing. Count stays at 2-2. Pierzynski would be next with a couple of hits today, 2 singles. Remember, Konerko is out of the game. Josh Fields pinch ran for him in the 8th. Into center field. Pretty well hit. Cameron backing up. He's got it for the out. And the second out of the inning.
And Trevor had to work for that one. That was a good at bat by Ramirez. Fought off some good pitches. He swung at ones that he wished he hadn't. But finally able to get him.
A.J. Pierzynski hitting in the 3-hole for the first time this year. Bats with 2 outs and 2 on. 2 singles today for Pierzynski. Go ahead and run at second. Hoffman bounces one. Opponents only batting .129 against Trevor Hoffman this year. A walk and a hit in this inning. And Pierzynski takes ball 2.
Now you're glad that Paul Konerko is no longer in this ball game. Josh Fields on deck.
$3-0.
I think that's what Trevor Hoffman's thinking about. Josh Fields has been struggling this year. I think the sequence of pitches to A.J. Pierzynski would be different if Konerko was the on-deck hitter.
swinging away. Pierzynski with a base hit. Richard around third. He will score. And the White Sox have the lead. A.J. Pierzynski swinging away at 3-0 and puts the Sox on top. First run that Trevor Hoffman has given up all season.
And then again, maybe not. I mean, a very hittable pitch on 3-0. Right down the middle of the plate, and A.J. Pierzynski, who's been swinging about well all day, his third hit of the day, able to give the Sox a lead.
5-4 Chicago. Pierzynski 3 for 5 today, and a big hit there, and the White Sox have the lead in the ninth with Josh Fields coming up.
Tell you, the way that at-bat was going, it looked to me as though they were very careful with Pierzynski and really not worried about loading the bases and going after the right-handed hitting Fields. But I guess that wasn't what they're thinking.
Now Hoffman with runners at the corners. And Fields a big cut. Hoffman's scoreless inning streak ends at 18 2/3, which ties him for the franchise record. But that is of no consolation to Trevor Hoffman. Ball and 2 strikes on Fields.
Well, now you know why Tomei was thinking about dropping down a bunt, just trying to get something going, get Trevor in the stretch. How about the Bulldog, Ken Sanders, on that list?
Earl Stevenson had the record set in 1972. Same year Sanders did it. Fields is down on strikes. The inning ends, but the White Sox get a run against Hoffman, the first he's given up all year. Hart leads off. The Brewers down a run as we head to the bottom of the ninth. Do that this year. Corey Hart set to lead off, and if the Brewers are going to come back, they're going to have to do it against the big closer Bobby Jenks. You see Corey Hart at the plate, presented by Wendy's. 2 home runs in this game. The home run he hit in the 6th inning tied it. And Hart will lead off with the Brewers down a run.
Now Bobby Jenks last pitched 3 days ago against the Tigers. It was a blown save for Jenks. Overall, 13 out of 15 in save opportunities. He has given up 4 home runs. That's what you're thinking right now with the way this Brewer ball club can hit him. 22nd appearance on the season for Jenks.
Yeah, the game Jenks blew on Thursday, the save he blew. The White Sox won the game. They came right back in the next inning and won it on a Pasetnik single. Hart, then Catalanotto, who will pinch hit in the pitcher spot. And then Kendall. Jenks was on the mound and got the final out when the White Sox beat the Astros to win the World Series in 05. Catalanotto, who spent a lot of years in the American League, has seen him before. Jenks is the only pitcher in White Sox history with 30 saves in 3 consecutive seasons. Just foul down the line. 2-2 to Hart.
Hard thrower with a very good breaking pitch. This is a pretty good bullpen for the White Sox when you consider Dotel and Scott Linebrink, Bobby Jenks. We saw Thornton, who throws very well. And as we mentioned, the closer, Jenks, has given up 4 home runs this year. Get a man on and somebody hit one.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Hart. 3-2 the count. Hart with 2 home runs today and a walk. He's perfect at the plate. Corey in the left field, off the end of the bat and in the ballpark as Posednik makes a catch. Just missed it. 1 out. Polls are closed on our U.S. Cellular text to vote. Which home uniform do you prefer? And the retro stripes, a runaway winner today. So far, the retro stripes have been the only uniform the Brewers have won in on this homestand. 1 gone for Frank Catalanotto, pinch hitting. Catalanotto slices one foul. Catalanotto is 0 for 2 against Bobby Jenks in his career. Base hit. There's a base runner the Brewers need. Tying run is aboard. The go-ahead run will come to the plate. Catalanotto's first pinch hit for Milwaukee. And it's going to be Matt Gamble off the bench to hit for Maka. Kendall is out. Gamble is in. And the rookie with a chance to make it a winner for the Brewers.
Now Catalanotto, not bad speed on the bases. A gapper might tie it up.
Gamble late on the fastball, a big one at that.
Yeah, that Chicago outfield very, very deep, trying to cut off those gaps.
Jenks gave up a home run to Curtis Granderson on Thursday in that blown save against the Tigers. 0-2 to Gamble. Powder River from Bobby Jenks.
97 miles an hour. It's tough to square up when a pitch up around the belt when it's coming in that hot.
0-2 to Gamble. Winning run at the plate. All in 2 strikes. Another big fastball from Jenks. Gamble down on strikes.
And that was the one right there. That ball down around the mid-thigh area. You know, mid to upper 90s, down in the zone, easier to get to. But Gamble swings under it.
So the Brewers down to their last out. And as Craig Counsell trying to keep it going here. Catalanotto the tying run at first. White Sox outfielders extremely deep. Jenks has not issued a walk since May 17th. It's been 8 appearances since his last walk. So you can expect the ball around the strike zone.
That's amazing with as hard as he throws. All good closers, that's one thing they have in common. They don't walk people.
(5-4) White Sox. Counsell the last hope. And a bouncer up the middle. Ramirez has it. Throw to first is in time, and the White Sox defeat the Brewers 5-4. They get a run off Hoffman in the 9th. And they win the series 2 out of 3. Back-to-back wins for the White Sox. A very disappointing homestand comes to an end for Milwaukee. We'll take a timeout. Brewers Live coming up after the turn.